Hello, class. I am going to touch base on week 1 and week 2 of studying and teaching the Bible. Um, First of all, thank you for all of you that were on campus, and we had a great time with you. I wish I would have been around more, because honestly, I enjoy each of you extravagantly, but it was not feasible. So I look forward to interacting with you guys more in this class, but all our staff said they enjoyed you thoroughly, loved you all, and you guys are doing great. So continue to let that excitement of being on campus fuel you as you finish up the last weeks of your year, really, and obviously the last courses that you'll be taking, and have fun. Besides math, you're having some really exciting courses, and in all seriousness, you're going to learn something in quantitative reasoning as well. So I just want to go over briefly the couple assignments so far. I let you guys hand in the first assignment Wednesday night, a little bit late. So, but just so you guys are clear, if you were wondering what was going on with some of those nuances, again, you were completing, what do we call it? Assignment 1, Part 1, the reading and historical background aspect. So with that, see if I can pull up the worksheet with that. Hello, I've got it open on my computer, so it wouldn't have any. I tell you what, me and my computer are having some serious love lost the last few weeks. Okay, so you're going to do your 5 days of reading with Jonah. Some of you were confused on the difference of a translation and paraphrase. Things like oftentimes we call things translations that are not translations. Translations have to do with being more literal. Paraphrases we still call translations, like the New Living Translation is not really a translation, it's a paraphrase. The Message Bible, paraphrase. As I think I've mentioned before, that doesn't mean that they're less valid, it just means that the purpose for them is different. So if you're going to do any study where you're going to evaluate anything of the biblical languages, you're going to use not a paraphrase, but a true translation. Now, does that mean that things like the Message Bible aren't useful? No, that's not true. They are can be very useful to adequately portray a certain dynamic of what the Scripture is saying. But you are not going to use those in terms of trying to make an argument based on what the words or the language mean, if that makes sense. So, if you have any questions about that, let me know. But that is I think that first part on reading Jonah is pretty self-explanatory beyond the difference of a translation or paraphrase. Then you had that chart you had to fill in on the author, recipients, location, date, purpose, and so forth. So some of that stuff was easier to find than others. You're going to have to use some external evidence to find some of that and document your sources. So most of you, if you had issues, were emailing me, but the whole idea is that you're learning how to find some sources when your textbook isn't giving you exactly what you need. So I'll be eager to see what you guys put in on some of these. It's not super difficult. I mean, unless you just can't find something. So that's really the tough part here, is just making sure you're finding good info on those things and answering the questions. So that's and just the concept of the historical background. Let me give you a little bit of an idea of why this is important. Oftentimes people are teaching on a biblical book or anything in general. They're going to give you the context of why this is significant, what it has to do with you, and that sort of thing. The reason why you always have to study the historical background of a biblical book is that oftentimes it sets the context of what that author was saying to the people that he was writing to. And if you don't understand the purpose of it, if you're jumping like with Jonah right into the whale, okay, great, kids are on board. Hey, there was a whale, he was inside him for 3 days, awesome, no questions asked, no one's asking, why was there a whale, why was he on the water, what did that have to do with anything? The historical background is a key dynamic when you're teaching to even to kids, but to anyone who has a brain. So and it's going to make critical aspects more clear as you start to flesh things out of some of the what are the big ideas, what are the things you're supposed to be focusing on and drawing as your applications with your studies. So that's a key element, and we'll talk about that more as the class goes on. Now, what I really want to talk about is your part 2 of the assignment. Let me flip open to that. And so in part 2, you're going to be, it says, make observations using the essence for 2 chapters of your choosing and use the structural analysis for the other 2 chapters of Jonah. So you'll notice that on that essence worksheet, that's not it, essence. Where did I put it? Not that one. Forms of expression, not that one. I feel like I've got everything. There we go, essence. So on the essence worksheet, there's not much on the worksheet. You're going to be filling it in, but you're focusing on the who and the what, right? The nouns and the verbs. And then you're giving the why and significance. It has chapter 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 on there for you. It also has a structural analysis. Basically, don't worry about the structural analysis on that worksheet. Just focus on the essence, because you're going to be filling in on that second worksheet the structural analysis. So basically, choose which 2 chapters. I mean, what's easiest is to do the essence for chapter 1 and 2 of Jonah. So you would leave blank chapter 3 and 4 under the essence charts that are on that worksheet. And then when you get to the structural analysis, if you did chapters 1 and 2 in the essence worksheet, you'll do chapter 3 and 4 in the structural analysis worksheet. Does that make sense? I hope so. Again, to remind you what you're doing with that, make sure you are referencing the grading guide. That was also in your lesson 2 resource folder. That grading guide makes the assignment very easy, and is essentially what I'm using to grade you. So let me just read that, because I have a feeling that some of you aren't looking at it. Some of you just jump right in, and while that's good for some things, it hurts you on others. So with the essence and structural analysis piece, what it says, use the essence format for chapters 1 and 2 and the structural analysis format for chapters 3 and 4 in Jonah. The directions for essence, for that essence assignment, are found on pages 28 and 29 in the Handbook to Interactive Bible Study. So I've told you exactly where you need to find how to do that. And then on page 30, it actually shows you an example. So I don't know how to make it any more clear than that. But if you're confused after seeing that, please email me or call me. Then the directions for structural analysis are found on page 29, and the example is given on page 31, again in the Handbook to Interactive Bible Study. So that checklist we have here is going to help you really, what are we supposed to focus on? So are the subjects of the sentences and their verbs adequately noted in the essence observations? So in the essence worksheet, are the subjects of the sentences and the verbs adequately noted? Since the scripture text is included on the worksheet, it will be necessary to delete some of the words that are not subjects or verbs for chapters 1 to 2. For chapters 3 to 4, keep all of the words of the text and move them around as you analyze the text itself. Okay, so again, if you're just doing chapters 1 and 2 with the essence, you're just focusing on chapter 1 and 2 there, right? When you get to the structural analysis, you're asking, again, are you adequately formatting the stuff according to the directions given? Again, that's on page 29, and then the example on page 31 for the structural analysis. Is the given paragraph structure used? And then is the significance or the why adequately stated without interpretations and applications? So those are the things that you're looking at putting in your structural analysis. If you have any questions, please let me know. And again, you should be doing chapters 3 and 4 for the structural analysis. If you flipped it and did chapter 1 and 2 for structural analysis and 3 and 4 for the essence, I don't really care, but I'm recommending you do it that way just for simplicity's sake, so everyone's on the same page. Okay? Then, for the forms of expression, all 4 chapters of Jonah are required for the forms of expression worksheet. So use the scriptural text of Jonah found in the Lesson 2 resource folder for observation number 2 exercise. So be sure your observation exercise number 2 is color-coded. You'll see on that worksheet you basically just have a bunch of scripture, right? So the key is that you either use your highlighting capabilities on your computer, or you print it out, use your own highlighters, then you scan it and send it back, turn it in. You can do either one. And then your handbook, page 32 to 34, it gives you the color coding details that you're supposed to use. So if you're familiar with your word processor and can make the observations on your computer, like I said, do that. But otherwise, use your own colored pens or highlighters, and that's also fine. So, checklist. Are obvious forms of expression noted? Are major repetitions noted? Do all progressions, lists, and series have titles or labels? And was designated color code from the handbook used so it is not confusing to the professor? Meaning, if the color code says such and such is meant to be yellow, do that. Don't use blue. I'm going to be confused. Keep it simple. We'll all be happy. If you have any questions, please let me know. Love to you all. Have an amazing week. Bye-bye.